Hey guys, it's just Carpenter, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes and just tell you some things that the Lord has been speaking to my heart. And before I get into reading Psalm 23, just to tell you a story and just how the Lord has been using quarantine, and particularly like my hobbies and crafts during quarantine, to just speak to my heart. And so for me, I love to garden and I love to like care for my houseplants and things. And during quarantine, I had this bright idea to start a garden. And so this was back in early April, and there were things that I originally wanted to plant in this garden. And I was like, okay, I'm so excited. And I started to plant them outside. And within like a few weeks, like it started to sprout, and I'm so excited. And I'm like, yes, finally. But then within like a week or so, all those sprouts died, and I was like, well, that's disappointing. And so anyway, so what I learned, now the fall is starting, and I realized that the things that I wanted to plant originally over the summer, I should have waited until the fall. And just through that, I realized that a lot of times we realize, like in our growth, or we think that to grow we need to be in this season where we're full of joy and happiness and everything is just like all sunshine and rainbows. But what I learned is that a lot of seeds and seedlings actually need darkness in order to grow. And so recently I started doing some fall prep for gardening, and I did just like cilantro, lettuce, and things like that. And I kept them covered, and I put them in a dark, cool place. And within 2 weeks, I mean, they've like sprout out, and I'm like having to transplant them now. And so again, like a lot of times we think that we have to have, sunshine and rainbows to grow, and that's true. Sunlight, water, all those things are essential. But also darkness, it's necessary. And I think a lot of times we forget that joy and sadness can coexist. It's possible to have joy in those dark seasons, though we may not feel it every single day or every moment, and that's okay. Um, and so that's why I wanted to read Psalm 23, specifically verse 1, saying, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," meaning that we lack for nothing. He gives us exactly what we need and when we need it, and whether that is a season full of sunshine or whether that's a season of darkness. We may not feel that we need that, but I think that growth is very possible and necessary even in those seasons. Um, so the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Just to pause there, he restores my soul. So when I started these seedlings in the dark, cool place when they started to sprout, I was like, oh, they probably need sunlight now. And so I put them in a windowsill, and they got too much light. And the moment that I moved them back to that dark, cool place, they began to, because they were wilted, but then they came back to life. And so I just think of how the Lord takes us through certain seasons, and He just restores us. And he just gives us what we need, and it may not always look like what we want it to look like, but his view is far more than ours. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I always loved how David says that he walks through the valley of the shadow of death. He's not pitching camp there. He's not setting up camp. He's not, just staying there. He knows that he's not going to stay. He's walking through it. And I don't think that there's a way that we have to walk through the valley, whether that's just like trudging along some days, whether there's some days where we're like, God, I just need a minute. Like, I just need to stop for a second. But we know, like, in the end, we're going to walk through it. Anyway. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I love that he says, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, because I think there are days where we don't feel that all the time, but it's comforting to know that it's still there, whether we feel it or not. It's still there. And so I just encourage you guys, like, remember that the Lord just like gives you like exactly what you need, and that looks different for every person. Again, I'm a crazy plant lady and I'm a visual person, so I'm just gonna give you just an idea. So this leaf, dried up, crunchy, it's just like shriveled, no good anymore. Because for this plant, I thought that it just needed a little bit of sunlight. Not very true. I had to move it, and it sprouted out a brand new leaf that looks completely healthy. And yeah, so just giving things what they need, just like a plant or like your flowers at home. I think that the Lord takes care of us in the same way. Even being a crazy plant lady, I'm thankful for the way that the Lord has used creation to speak to my heart. Just being able to cultivate and care for creation, and seeing that God loves me more than that. Like, he cares for me more than that. And so, yeah, I just encourage you guys to just seek the Lord, seek his face for what you need in this season. Just have, ask for grace and patience, because it may not look like what you thought it would look like. And yeah, just trust that he's always with you. He's for you. And so, yeah, have a great day, guys.